I'll never forget that morning. Sun barely up, my coffee still piping hot, and there she was, standing across the street in a bathrobe in fury, screaming at the top of her lungs that my grandfather's land was now the property of her precious homeowners association. You ever had someone look at you like you stole their life, like yelling loud enough could change a deed? Because that's how Evelyn Harper glared at me, finger jabbing, phone already in hand, calling 911 before I even realized what was happening, claiming I was trespassing on my own damn porch. Next thing I know, the whole street's lit up red and blue, patrol cars crawling up slow, neighbors peeking through blinds, kids gawking mid-bike ride like it was the circus come to town, and I remember thinking, so this is what inheritance gets you these days, a front row seat to your own arrest. I'm Daniel Cole, been a county building inspector long enough to spot a fake survey line from a mile off, and trust me, I know exactly where my property begins and ends. My granddad died last spring, left me the house just outside Maplewood Estates. Place so quiet I thought I'd finally get to breathe. What I got was war. The old porch still has his initials. Boundary oak tree still stands just where he said. But peace? That left the day Evelyn Harper, queen bee of the HOA, stomped across my yard. With a folder of rules, like she was the law itself. Your land was promised to the community years ago, she snapped, face red, eyes full of that HOA certainty that eats people alive. I wanted to laugh, but my voice caught. Promised by who? I asked. My grandfather didn't sign away a single inch. But Evelyn just smiled, like she knew something I didn't, like she thought if she played it loud and dramatic, everyone else would just fall in line. That's how it starts, right? Volume and rumors, never facts. Deputy Carter pulled up, cool as can be, and I laid it all out on the hood. Deed, will, probate, the whole stack. He read every page, nodded, and turned to Evelyn. Ma'am, unless you've got legal proof, you've got no authority here. She sputtered and waved at my lawn, like pointing at dandelions could change the law, then stalked off muttering, "This isn't over." And damn if she wasn't right. Because the next morning, there's a gift basket on my porch, cookies, some daisies, and a bill for $75. Lawn care, parking, exterior paint review. Like getting charged by the fire department for a fire you didn't have. Suddenly, folks start talking. Why aren't you paying, Daniel? Martha next door, the only one still baking pies for the whole block, pulled me aside, real serious. In 30 years, the HOA never set foot on your granddad's land. He kept it private. For a reason, which I already knew. Men didn't even buy socks without reading the warranty twice. But Evelyn wasn't done. A lawyer's letter shows up, something about liens and community codes, threatening to take the house unless I paid up. I read it twice, and half the codes actually supported me. Either Evelyn was making things up, or her lawyer was asleep at the wheel. She didn't care. Next thing, she's telling everyone I'm suing the HOA, that I want to put up a wall and start charging a toll for dog walkers. Parents were told I'd block off the playground. Retirees were told I'd raise taxes. Dog owners warned I'd put up a fence right across the path. People started looking at me sideways. It worked. Within a week, local shops refused to serve me. Hardware store, where my grandfather fixed half the neighborhood, claimed they couldn't sell me screws. Lawn guy quit trimming the strip near my drive. The grocery app blacklisted my address. Even pizza wouldn't deliver. Said I was in a restricted zone. I didn't blame the workers. I saw the fear. Evelyn was working the whole town. But that's when the universe threw me a bone. Out by the oak, just checking the old survey nail my granddad always pointed out, I spotted a brass key wedged in the bark. Old, worn, but right where he said to look if trouble ever comes. The same day, Martha came by with a battered photo folder, shots from 2003, when my granddad ran extension cords during a blackout, saved half the street's freezers. There's even a shot of him helping Evelyn bail out her flooded basement. Funny how gratitude doesn't stick, huh? That night, I decided enough was enough. Invited the whole street over for coffee and truth. Lined up every old photo, family parties, birthdays. The oak trees standing watch in the background, decade after decade. No tricks, just life. Then Walter, the quiet electrician from down the block, never said more than evening. Steps forward holding an old contractor's bill, says, the HOA's only ever paid for streetlights to post 3 Your granddad paid for everything beyond. You could feel the air change. Right then, Evelyn barged in, grabbed my granddad's handmade bamboo wind chime, and smashed it, splinters everywhere. "This doesn't decide property lines," she screeched. The crowd froze, phones out, the moment caught from a dozen angles. For me, it wasn't just a wind chime. He made that by hand, every knot, every reed, hung up after every storm. Seeing it broken felt like she'd taken a swing at his memory. Walter spoke up, strong now. "That's destruction of private property, witnessed by everyone here." And then the real twist. Turns out Walter wasn't just an electrician. He'd served on the original HOA committee. Led us behind the bushes, dug out a rusted sign, half covered in vines. "HOA ends here. Established 2005. No more gray area, no more rumors, just the truth in cold metal." And that key? Walter used it to open a lockbox buried under the oak's roots. Inside, original surveys, county records, everything, all stamped, all official. Deputy Carter came back, thumbed through the evidence. Looked right at Evelyn. "You've been outside your charter for years. This is over." She tried one last speech, private property versus community, but nobody wanted to hear it. Crowd voted her out, 32-0. Demanded she pay damages and legal fees, and sign a statement admitting the boundary. She left in tears. That was that. Next weekend, we came together, not in court, but as neighbors. Put up a new sign, fresh paint. "HOA ends here, 2005, confirmed 2024. Walter and I fixed the wind chime, hung it right back up, let it catch the breeze the way my granddad liked. For the first time in ages, the place felt peaceful. Not because I won on paper, but because memory matters, legacy matters, and you can't bully history into submission. Maybe that's the lesson. The truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stand its ground." And as I sit here tonight, listening to that bamboo sing over the porch, I wonder, is this what justice looks like? Or do folks like Evelyn just move on to the next fight, looking for another target? So what do you think? Should people who abuse power face harsher consequences? Or is getting outed in front of everyone punishment enough? Drop a comment. Tell me your thoughts, right and wrong, community and freedom. These little wars over land, they're bigger than they seem. And hey, may your neighbors stay sane, and your fences stand just where you want them. Let me tell you, even after the votes were counted and Evelyn's reign ended, it wasn't like flipping a switch and going back to normal, at least, not for me. For weeks after, the neighborhood had this weird, tiptoe energy, like everyone was holding their breath to see what would happen next. Some folks avoided my eyes at the mailbox, others brought over pies or casseroles. They just happened to have extra of, you know how people do, trying to smooth things over without saying the words. There was this sense we'd all witnessed something bigger than just an argument. Over a fence line, like we'd seen how fast trust can crack and how hard it is to put it back together. I'll admit, for a while I was stuck in this loop, replaying every little detail, Evelyn's accusations, the crowd with their phones out, that wind chime hitting the ground. Some nights I'd sit out on the porch and half expect another confrontation, some new angle or paperwork trick. But mostly, I thought about my grandfather. The way he'd sip his coffee in the morning, eyes on the tree line, the patience in his voice when he'd explain why boundaries matter, not just the kind you can see, but the ones you set for how people treat you. Funny thing, Walter, the old electrician who'd stepped up during the showdown, started dropping by more often. He'd bring over a toolbox, claim he wanted to check the outlets or fix that loose step, but really he just wanted to talk. He told me stories about the early days of Maplewood Estates, when the HOA was just a few families, organizing block parties, helping each other with repairs, passing around a rusty barbecue grill. He shook his head a lot, said, "It was never supposed to turn into this power trip, you know?" Somewhere along the line, folks forgot why we even started. And the new HOA president, Linda Tran, a nurse who lived 2 doors down, came by with her kids to introduce herself. She handed me a letter, not a summons or a fine, but an invitation to a cookout celebrating community renewal. She said, "We can't change what happened, but we can decide what comes next. I hope you'll be there." Daniel. For the first time since all this started, I actually believed her. At the cookout, the energy was different. People mingled, old arguments got left behind, and kids ran wild under the oaks. There was even a moment when someone, probably Martha, because she never could resist, set up a makeshift stage and started as stories of the neighborhood night. Folks shared memories. Most about little things, lost dogs found, backyard fireworks, blizzards survived together. When my turn came, I talked about my grandfather, about the old wind chime and the lesson he taught me. When someone tries to steal your story, you plant your feet and you tell it louder. I looked out and realized people were listening, really listening. But don't get me wrong, some wounds heal slow. There were still whispers, still folks who sided with Evelyn, saying she only did what she thought was best. I get it. Not everyone sees the line between leadership and bullying until it's their life. On the chopping block, what stuck with me, though, was how the quiet truth, backed up by actual evidence and a few good people willing to stand up, finally won out over all the noise. A couple of weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, just my name scrawled in careful handwriting. Inside was a single photo, Evelyn, standing next to my grandfather under that same oak, both of them smiling, holding a sign that read Neighbors First. No note, just that picture. I couldn't tell if it was meant as an apology, a warning, or just a reminder that people are never as simple as the roles they play when things go sideways. Now, I keep that photo pinned up inside the kitchen cabinet, next to the new deed and the old survey map. Every time I reach for a mug, I see it, and I remember that nothing about land or community is ever truly settled for good. Boundaries shift, people change, storms come through and blow down the signs, and you just have to keep showing up, protecting what matters, forgiving where you can, and drawing your line in the dirt when you must. Some nights, when the wind picks up, I hear that bamboo chime out front and I feel my grandfather's presence. It doesn't sound like victory, not really. It sounds like resilience, a promise that as long as you know who you are and what you stand for, you're never as alone as you think. So, tell me, have you ever had to stand your ground when everyone else said you were wrong? Did the truth come out, or did you have to live with the whispers? Drop your story in the comments. Because trust me, somebody else out there needs to hear it. And hey, next time you pass that little house with the oak out front, you'll know there's a story behind every wind chime. Maybe even one. That sounds a little like yours.